Okay, that's done. This is going live.
We've got 10 minutes, so we're going to hook him up. And I'm just going disappearing for a minute.
Running. Oh, there we go.
So, John, you're gonna be recording this in 2 places at once?
Zoom's recording and yeah, Zoom's recording. My showroom won't record because I had to set it up for longer than 2 hours. I'll only have the recording here locally from the Zoom. Okay, that just went live. So if anybody's watching the My Showroom camera, they should be looking at my screen. And that means in 10 minutes, I push that button, and we're going. We're on the air. So I need to pin him at my screen. Oh, why am I hearing noise? And that means in 10 minutes, I push that button, and go. All right. We're on the air. Okay, so the audio's working. That can go. Actually, I can close that completely. Need it.
Okay, uno. Mañana. Esto. Is it esto yet?
I need that there. There, and bring that forward.
Just a loyal.
Okay, 10 minutes to go. If anybody's got issues or have to go to the bathroom, do it now.
And Mate, did you want to unmute and see if we can hear you?
Hello, can you hear me?
There she is.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, then I'm mute again.
Yeah.
Did you see the Marini's show yesterday? The one that was asking for a...
No, I didn't get no time to do that, but I will later on.
Okay. She sent us a document and I need to send it to you. Ashley?
Oh yeah, that's true. You didn't even send it me. Did you send it me?
Yeah, she's got 4 associations she's going to be sending to us that she's working with and what they need in the jungle. And John's arranging for a couple of people, Barb and Linda, in the room here, are going to be trying to arrange a woofer presentation for her stuff so that she can get volunteers coming over. And we've written down a structure on the board here, Mighty, as you know how we do it.
I'm losing you.
You losing me?
Yeah, now you're back.
Okay. Well, we put it up on the board.
When you look away from your computer, Dave, you got to talk really loud.
Yeah, and not go away because otherwise we don't hear you.
Okay, so if I say here, that's okay. You can hear me, yeah?
Just speak like you mean it. Don't talk in a normal voice. Be a little bit louder than you would normally be.
Okay, Michael's joining us now.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, Mike. 8 minutes to the show, Mike. John's will not be able to talk in this one, unfortunately, because he's got 2 monitors now, and both of them are full, and we can't.
No, Dave, I don't have 2 monitors now. That's the problem. When I have 2 monitors, I don't do all of that stuff. But not right now.
We've got more people coming in, and we may even have Kevin Annette. So 8 minutes. So I'm going to go make a coffee now. I've hooked Javier up to the pulsar. And if you want to speak to Javier, Mighty, in Spanish, feel free to do so.
Okay, you got 6 minutes, Dave.
6 minutes to make coffee. Okay, let's go.
Just say hello to Javier. Hola, Javier. ¿Se recuerda de mí?
Hola, buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes, ¿cómo está?
En la mañana
Sí.
hicieron este masaje.
Le dieron mensajes por la mañana.
Piernas. Y eso me ha ido un dolor, pero agudo.
Uy,
Y me está pasando, ya me está calmando.
ya se le está calmando. Bueno, eso es bueno. Y eso fue después del masaje, ¿no?
Sí, efecto el masaje.
Claro, es que es normal porque ahí pues se activan cosas y claro, los músculos también y eso pues claro, empieza a doler, ¿no? Pero luego ya se regulariza todo, ¿no?
No. Hoy día, no
Poco a
de todo.
poco.
De todos los días, este dedo, ese sí que me...
Poco a poco, poco a poco. Claro.
Claro. Así es. Y
Oh, whoever's typing, it's really
todos los días. Con todo que me ha indicado, con todo lo voy pasando. Así es. Los nervios de acá de la parte, pues ya calmado.
Ya puede caminar, ¿no?
Camino ya un poco, sí. Camino
Ya,
un poco fuerte.
un poquito. Claro, todos los días un poco.
Así es. Y ayer no he venido porque había muerto mi tío. Y
Ay,
fuimos a sepultarle ayer. Por eso no he venido tarde.
ah, claro.
The other day. He's 74, 74, 74. And he wants to live, and that's why he's responding to treatment. And change his diet, change the way he lives, put him on the pulsar, give him energy. And walk. Now he's just dancing down the road. Really cool.
Look good for 74 days.
Yeah, and we got another guy off diabetes. He's now not dependent on insulin anymore, and he's changed his diet. And he's drinking Darko's juice.
That's wonderful.
And eating ceviche, which is raw food. So the more you increase your raw food, if you're taking 30% now, go to 50, then go to 70, 80, and I'm nearly on complete raw food diet now. So the next step's breatharian after that.
I completely cured myself of diabetes. I don't do anything anymore except diet. Good deal. Hi, Bob. Good to see your face, girl. All right.
Oh, hi, Linda. I can't hear you very well.
Oh, you can't?
No.
I'm laying back in my chair.
Hi, Linda. That's better. Yes, Dave, he doesn't look 70 odd, does he?
No, looks great.
At all. Incredible.
Of course, I don't think I look 72 myself, but then.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Don't feel it either.
I'm going to be sending you healing tomorrow, Linda.
Tomorrow? Okay.
Couldn't do it today, not today, but tomorrow.
That's great. Thank you.
2 minutes, folks.
No problem.
Got some information to share with you that I shared with them before you came on, but we'll do it after the show.
Okay.
Okay, I'll go make my coffee.
You got a minute and a half.
Shall I mute all, and if anyone wants to say anything, I'll
Mute everybody
mute all
but-
now.
We'll raise
Mute
our
everybody
hand.
but me.
We can raise our hand, right?
I'll just mute everyone. If you want to speak, just unmute. Okay, we're all muted, except me, I think. But if you want to speak, yeah, just open your own.
Hi, do you guys see this?
Oh, yourselves, man. We've got some here as well.
That's right over my house. I'm on the road in front of my house.
Okay, 30 seconds, folks.
El show comenzar en un minuto. Ahora.
Broadcasting a new paradigm on the One Network.
We invite you all to participate in the weekly discussions of the MIP team's project of sharing and restoration of the lands, hearts and lives in the jungles of Peru.
In the midst of the chaos that's created to keep humanity distracted, voices of reason and love ring out to offer solace and comprehension. From the amazing places all around the world, we bring together these voices. And keeping it all on track, here's Dave Stewart.
Hi everybody, welcome to MIP Peru, and we've got a few people that aren't in the room, and we're going to explain to you how the show works. So, welcome to Tarapoto here, and we're joined by Javier. Javier, hola, ¿qué tal estás? And we will start going around the room. You'll see that this is quite a technical show, and we're going to explain that to you. Basically, we are running live on the One Network, which is Lisa, Harrison, Brian, and Dee, and all those people down in Morocco and around the world. And that's live radio. To add to that, we've got live TV, which records this Zoom room. So John is in the background, and he's doing the engineering for this with his monitors. And if you want to watch this live on TV, and you're listening to it on radio, and you want to watch this, you have to go to the My Showroom. And you download the Silverlight. I wrote it up on the board because I'm not that techie minded, you see. So you download the Silverlight, and then you can watch this live. And I think the link is in the MIP Peru room if you want to watch this live yourself. So anyway, welcome to the show. We've got a hell of a show for you today. And we haven't got the girls, we haven't got Cami, and we haven't got India. So it's all on me. So I'm needing some of your help. So let's go through the room. First, we've got Carl Malton. Please come in and say hello.
Hello, everybody. This is Carl.
What have we done this week then? Anything?
Well, I got some new DVDs in today. 6 hours I need to watch on the Bedini Tesla switch. So that'll be interesting to watch. There was good developments from Jamie on the QEG. He found some things on the exciter coil, and that's been posted in the BDU room. So yeah, we've got some good developments going on. He had a real good interview with Hope Girl on the Fix the World project. So catch her show. It was real interesting.
Okay, and what have you made any influence on Peru at all this week?
Not yet. Still waiting on my passport to get here.
Well, I think you have done something, haven't you? You sent me enough money to buy one of these motor cars.
Well, yeah, I did. I got a motor car for so that I can convert that over to electric when I get down there. Right now it runs on gasoline, and I'll take that off and I'll do like what I've done with my 60-mile-an-hour trike. Put an electric motor on it with some batteries and see what we can do with it.
I mean, if we start converting, and I know Maite is on the show. Welcome to the show, Maite. If you unmute
Yes.
yourself.
Yeah. Hello. Hey.
Yeah, we bought the car. We paid for half of it, and we're going to pay the rest. And then we're going to start thinking about converting it and how we're going to do it.
Yeah.
We can build a little house. Go on.
Yeah, you know that my dream as soon as I came into Peru was to have a motor taxi, and that it would drive on water. So I still dream about that. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to make that dream come true, because
there is a guy in Tarapoto who's doing HHO on the motor car. So, and for those of you who don't know what a motor car is, I'm going to share my screen with you, and you will see if I've got one open. That is. Let me see if I can find the picture first, and then what I can do is I can share my screen here and show you what one looks like. And I've had to close everything down to close the computer, you see. They are, here we are. Motor car, that's one there. So if I share my screen with you now, you can see what a motor car is and what Carl's talking about and what Mighty's talking about. Share screens, okay, ready? And here we go. You should now look at my screen, which has got the aquaponics on, and there's a motor car. Can you see that? Is that big enough for you, or do I need to make it bigger? So Carl is talking about converting that to an electric. Now, with electric, what's happening here is that will go and stop immediately. Noise reduction. It's not going to be silent. They still make a little bit of noise, but the noise, you'll hear them coming past here while I'm doing this show because I'm right out front of the office. And so they are noisy, and they are also filthy when they go because they run on gasoline, of course. So stop the screen. I'm back with you all now. And Carrie Ellis is here. So let's say hello to Carrie as we try to go through the room. Hi, Carrie.
Hola.
Número 3.
We've been making videos about decoding.
Who's typing? Mighty's typing. Please stop. Oh, thank you.
Perfect. Good to see you all.
Yeah, nice to see you. We've been shooting some videos called Decoding the Matrix today, so it's been a very busy day.
Yeah.
Can you introduce yourself, please?
I'm Ken Chorley with Evolved Ministry. I'm an energy practitioner, and I work and teach with Carrie on curriculum, and we do workshops together. And I'm part of Global Leaders for Change, and so that's who I am.
I know who you are, Ken. And no, it's great to have you on the show. We've got a real packed house today. There is a chance Kevin Arnett's going to come in here. And there is a chance at 5 o'clock, Mike Waters is coming in as well. So when they do, Carrie Ellis, can you please read his bio out? Because it's such a fantastic bio. I'd rather have somebody professional
Sure.
than it.
I'll have to pull it up. Yep, I'd be glad to.
Okay, well, in the Skype room, I can pull it up for you.
I can pull it up.
Okay, it's on his Global Change site. You know
Okay.
it anyway, don't you?
All right.
And it's in the contact there that he sent to me, so that's what he wants us to tell him. So say about him. Anyway, as we press on, I'm also going to follow the show with how I wrote the article on xi4.com, so that what you can do is see that we're running this site live on TV now, and I want you to just understand what we're doing here in Peru, first of all. And there is a donate button on the xi4.com, and you will see that we're building our aquaponics in the office here. We've got the aeroponics up if you go onto xi4.com. And we're needing a little bit of influx of funds for that, so that we can carry on and get the electrics fitted and the plumbing fitted. So please dig deep if you go, or send that article. If you can't afford to send anything, don't worry about it. You can do something. Is you can actually send the xi4.com article out to other people who may be interested in helping us do the micro work here before we get on with the main project, which is an enormous renovation of the forest and the jungle here. So let me bring somebody else in now. We've got Linda Livesay here. Hello, Linda. Come in, please. You have to unmute yourself, my dear. There you go. Can we hear you?
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yeah, well, you're one of these energy women that are the engine room of Mission Impossible Peru. Definitely, Linda. Thank you very much for all your support and all your courageous work.
I totally believe in everything that we're doing, and I love working behind the scenes and just assisting where I can. So.
Yeah, and we've got with us having Marinice now coming in, and she's starting to do the energy work in the actual jungle. She's gone there now for her ayahuasca, so she couldn't make it on the show. But if anyone wants the video of our conversation with Marinice and how we structure now the important works that she's doing, where she's connecting with all these jungle people, and she's now released an article that shows us the actual projects and how many acres it is and how many hectares it is, and how she's going to be and what their needs are, and we mix it in with this group and we work all the energy out and how to do the water. We speak with John, Carl, and any of the techies that come in. We liaise with Mike Waters, and anyway, that's how we work, Linda. You know, it's a blend of all these people coming together, and it's really shooting now. It's really getting powerful now.
It feels very powerful. I'm very excited about it all. Yes.
Right. Well, I'm going to stop this section of the show because we're blessed with the presence of Phil Stallard. So please come in, Phil, and tell us a little bit about you, who you are, and tell us what's coming.
G'day everyone, my name's Phil. I'm living down in Melbourne, Australia for the next 12 hours, and drifting north. I've been a yogi sannyasin for a number of years, and for the last 3 or 4 years I've been a full-time way shower, essentially trying to get this ascension program over the line. Now, 18 months ago I was approached by the Swiss Indo group because of my involvement with the OPPT filings and the courtesy notices. And I was blessed to be offered a seat on the Cabinet Council of Australia and work with Papa Sugi, who is the King of Kings in a succession of kings from King Solomon, and is the owner of the United Nations and the world's governments and the world's corporations due to the 4 colossiums that the OPPT began. And he's in a different line of kings to what we're used to, the ones that steal and war and tax. This guy wants to give his wealth, 9/10 of the world's economy, back to the people. And he's tasked me and a whole bunch of other of us to help with that process. So, you know, we could do enormous damage if we weren't careful by flooding the system with money, and we're aware of that. But what we intend to do is by talking to the governments, they're going to be slow to react, and you know, it will take forever. So we want people like you guys and you listening to write down your project proposals and send them in to us, and we'll get them funded way quicker than any government agency. And so long as we're following the 3 laws of do no harm, cause no loss, do not impede the free will of another, and the fundings that we're looking for to begin with are projects like cleaning up the water supply, taking the fluoride out and any other toxins, cleaning up the soil quality so we've got nutrition coming back into the foods, housing the homeless and feeding the hungry. And once all those four are done, we'll get on to the more exciting and fun things. But to begin with, if you've got projects that do any of those topics, start writing them down, start looking about how we can get involved with each other.
Sorry, I muted then. Sorry for the pause. Carrie Ellis, could you come in as well, please, and we can have a three-way on this one. You've been doing exactly that, haven't you, Carrie?
Yep. I've spent the last couple of months writing up a proposal that was submitted to Phil's group, and I feel really excited about it. Many of us who are on this call were involved in that proposal. It's a proposal put together with the wisdom and the intelligence of a pretty good group of people. So, you know, we count on each other, as Michael Upstone says. When we take the wisdom of everyone together, we come out with really the best answer. And so we have a wonderful pool of input that's gone into a pretty large proposal, probably containing about 40 projects individually, to help resource and shift some of the critical issues that have been, you know, a result of maybe living off balance for a few thousand years here on planet Earth. So we're excited. I know everyone I know is excited for change to happen, to step into the capability of creating at the level that we know we can. And it's amazing the resources, as you all know. And I'm sure just for your listening audience, I mean, so many resources coming out from humanity on planet Earth, and we're excited to just be a vehicle to help those come forward. We have an organization called Global Leadership for Change, which just has pooled some of these ideas.
So with someone like Mighty, who's in the room now, could you, and we're both boots on the ground in Tarapoto, could you explain how do we get involved in this? Because we've got projects, and Mary Neath as well, when you see that teamwork, and Mighty's got far more groups around her as well, and so have I, 5 or 6 projects. Mary Neath's got about 8 projects. Mighty, I can tell you now, she's probably got that into double figures. How would this help us all?
Maybe should Phil answer that?
Sure.
Yes,
well, to answer the first part of the question, how do we get involved? We're only essentially 100 people around the world looking after 5 continents. So we need to create a team of people to assist us, and we need to go down the networks laterally to solve these problems, because, you know, I know you guys and you know other people, and if we work these networks sideways, we'll reach a lot of people quickly. So, you know, not everybody's going to know me and my email address to pass me a proposal, but if somebody knows somebody else, just pass them up the line and they'll go back down the line. You know, if the email address is on the person's project that wrote it, we can contact them directly when it gets to us. So, I mean, it's easy to get involved. We don't have a lot of processes and procedures at the moment because we're still under creation. What Mr. Sino has done is he's assembled, instead of looking at the experts and the degree people and the professors and these sorts of people, he's come to the people that are passionate about change. He's come to the people that can see a vision of the future and know the nonsense of the past. So I don't have a degree, but I've studied life sciences for 30 years out of books and out of clever people. I hang around people that are cleverer than me. And, you know, now I'm hanging around you guys, and it's all amazing. And this will work, and it will work really quickly. And we've just got to organise amongst ourselves. Like the lace web, it connects everybody together without even knowing it. So now the lace web's blowing across the spindrift of the ocean and coming over to Peru and around the world. So it's lovely.
I would say if anybody in our groups, Dave, anyone who knows me is welcome to send proposals my way, and I will be glad to pass them up the line. Global Leadership for Change, which is a very non-official group that we started, is just here to help facilitate this process as much as we can.
A secret society.
No. But and as much, we have our own projects as well, individually, those who are members. But yeah, anyone who wants to write up a simple, direct proposal, send it this way, feel free.
Okay. And
the checks and balances. The checks and balances will be done in an organic fashion. For example, if you write a proposal that gets funded, you get 3 months worth of funding, everything goes swimmingly, you get your next 3 months. But if there's bickering and complaining within the group and everybody's complaining and someone's gone off and bought a yacht, you know, the money will get turned off, because the money's not to build bombs and you know, do nonsense. It's to solve the problems. What's on your contract, what's on your proposal document is your contract to us. And the fourth law, other than do no harm, cause no loss, do not impede, is keep your word. If you make a contract to do house the homeless, we expect you to house the homeless, not buy a boat and house yourself. Right. So there's sort of checks and balances like that, and we'll figure it out as we go along.
And Phil had given me a set of 27 parameters that would be good guidance for writing a proposal. Would that be valuable for me to hand on to others, Phil?
I wouldn't at the moment, because that's still a draft document. I'd rather hand on something that we're finished with.
Okay. Thank you. Dave, you're muted.
I know, sorry. I've just got to, I want somebody to speak now, because I've got to go and, I've got this gentleman here, he's taking treatment of us. I've got the SOTA pulsar donated to me from Dr. Darko, and he's been coming to treatment here for twice a day. He gets a one hour zapping of electromagnetic. It's the Robert Beck's pulsar, that's the best way to explain it. And he couldn't walk when he came here 2 weeks ago, and I can happily say and record that he's walking. And Lars does energy work on his feet, and he's a lot of pain's coming out of his feet, and we're removing that pain. So you'll see me, I have to go and attend to him now, because the pulsar has stopped, so I'm going to have to go and reconnect it up. So Phil, what I'd like you to explain to Matey, and if you want to engage in a conversation, Matey, and tell us a little bit about some of the things you're doing here in Terrapota with me, because I'm your energy consultant, if you for want of a better proposal. So if you can unmute yourself, Matey, and introduce yourself to Phil, that's probably the best thing we can do just at the moment. So he knows who you are, and you tell us a little bit about some of your amazing work, and I'll just go and attend to Javier. Okay?
Okay. So Phil, pleased to meet you. I am Maite. There are people that can I mute myself just a second and just tell some people that they have to.
Sorry, I didn't.
Yes, here I am again. Sorry for this. So what I have been doing in Peru is, in a way, always the dream I had, and that was to first enroll the rainforest, which I knew that was one of the most endangered places in the planet. And that was, in a way, one of the things that was attracting me, like even from the 90s, that I was really thinking, one day I have to be in the rainforest, and I have to put my little weight in, because, yeah, we know Dave, he's always saying, amazing people, and yes, we are amazing, but I am always seeing that we are all like a little grain of sand, helping in all these big projects. And so when I came here, it was a little bit difficult to find.
Have you broken up, Matey? I think you've broken up, my dear. I'm going to speak over you now, because you seem to have either been cut off or something. Phil, there's a tremendous amount of groups of people here. And let me, oh, are you back on, matey?
Well, I thought I was on all the time, but perhaps I was gone. The thing is that the connection here is not so good. It's going up and down. So what I was saying was that my vision came in '95, and that had a lot to do with children. And I could really see that that was in the rainforest. I didn't know in those days what country it was, but with the time going, I started to meet a lot of Peruvians. I'm Spanish, so of course I could make that connection easily because I speak the same language. So then it started to become more and more obvious for me that I had to come to Peru to start that vision. And once I was here, of course, I saw more important things like, I mean, the children are very important because that is our future. But I started to see that there were things that were more important to deal with now. And this is how we started to develop, together with Mark, is one of the guys of our team, to develop a building that is completely auto-sustainable. And I like to call it like a work capsule, because this building can be built wherever. You don't need to have close by electricity or water. You don't even need to have really close by food, because that building, in 3 months' time, it can deliver exactly all those things. So it can deliver water, electricity, it can deliver food through aquaponics, and of course, for example, with the aquaponics, we will also need the advice of a lot of you guys. And for me, the person that I am closest to is Dave. So every time that I have a question about energies, I just go to Dave and he just explains me things, because I am not technical at all. I just know what needs to be happening here. And I can see it in many visions. I have been shown the things that have to happen here in this place, but not only in this place, also in the world. And what I think the reason that we are now here in Peru is especially because all these free energies can really be developed here a lot easier than in other places of the world. That is really one of the important reasons why we are here now, just to develop those things. Yeah?
Yeah, thank you, matey. And now you can see the importance of Phil and Carrie being in the room here. And if you ask me a question, I don't know the answer, I come to this room, and our Skype room, I ask them, and we formulate it. And if you think of that link between me and you, Mighty, and then add on Marineith, who's working with communities in the jungle, we've got a real bomb tsunami abundance going on here in Peru, haven't we?
Yes, we do. That is, I would really like to meet this girl, because the other time it didn't happen. But I'm sure I will get to see her shortly.
Well, sorry, I don't want to cut over the top with you. She recorded a 1 hour session with us, with our group, and it's now on YouTube, so you can watch it. So in the one of the Skype rooms, you can, or I will Skype it to you, and you can listen to it, how we formulated her to get woofing. And
yeah.
I forget the translation now, but that means getting volunteers to come and set up one for Parapoto now, so that these projects can be fed with volunteers, because she's got some amazing work, and you're going to really love meeting her. So, Mike, I'm going to go back over to Phil, because if we can release Phil, so that he can get on with his other business, and he's got a small internet connection himself. So, Phil, you can see the importance of what's happening here. This tsunami of abundance is going to come to Tarapoto, and we're going to start cleaning the Amazon. And why it's important is, it's where it is. It's on one of the veins, the smallest rivers, and if we clean that up, that comes down to the city, village by village, and we just go through village by village. The name of the village is San Roque, and there's a $30 million project to clean all the houses up, all the people, get them on free energy, clean water, the most important thing. So then I've already got the land given to me, 40 meters by 25, for aquaponics, a giant aquaponics to feed the villagers so that they become self-sustainable. And I've connected the recycling. So we're going to be building a big recycling unit so we can recycle steel and all the different types of plastic. And we can also recycle organic waste and turn it into biogas. So we're going to be doing that in the village. And what we've done is when you combine those two things and you give them a return for a bag of plastic rubbish, you give them free food. Effectively, their waste is paid for the food. So we can then go back into the jungle and stop them destroying the jungle when they go in there, because they have not a very sustainable life. And we're going to be giving them this sustainable life. Phil, what do you think of what we've found at Mighty and Marinith whilst we've been going into the jungle on expeditions? Do you think that is a fair proposition?
Oh, I think that's wonderful. I mean, we've got to find those herbs in the jungles that can heal us, you know. They're there. We've just got to watch the animals and follow them around and do some experiments and pull all of that ancient wisdom out that was pulled apart and destroyed when hospitals were invented. So one of the other parts of the Swiss Indo mission is to release 6,000 suppressed patents, which will provide the free energy and other healing technologies. Some of these free energy machines are being manufactured now and warehoused for release when the announcement comes. The announcements will be coming shortly, I've heard, but, you know, we've been hearing that for a while, so. Hours a day, because we can, you know, we don't need to be like slaves anymore. We don't need our times to be mindlessly filled with activity so that we don't think. You know, now is the time to start thinking and dreaming and planning for a joyous future, because it's right there. And the sooner our conscious mind can reach those spaces, the shift in the consciousness around the world will happen. So please share this message. It's one of hope and joy and prosperity, and it will be amazing, and it's as real as could be. So thanks for having me on, guys.
Great. Yeah, great, Phil. That was a terrific motivating speech, actually, if you don't mind me saying. And, you know, when you first started, you said about we need to connect to the plants. That is the exact work Marinith does. So maybe I should send you the video that we had a conversation of. And she's going to explain to you some of the trees that are responsible for fixing certain things. There is a tree for every single cure out there, literally. And she's speaking to all these communities that have kept the secret. And that's the big thing with Maite and myself and now Marinith. I've just joined, or I've agreed to include in our mission, and it is Mission I'm Possible, but I've agreed to include in that an association here in Tarapoto called URKU, and URKU. And I had a meeting with them, and it was a very good meeting with them. And what's important here is the connections. The mayor of San Roque de Cumbasa is the chairman of this company, and they study the trees in the jungle. and they magazine it, and they're quite a big company. So when you send me some money, I'm probably going to send it to them, and then ask Matey and I and Marineith can go to them and ask them for the money. Would you see that as an option?
Yeah, I think all of these options are definitely, on the first priority list. One of the first things I'm going to do when I start getting paid is buy a truckload of the Ringing Cedars of Russia series of books and send them to everybody, because in Australia that book's suppressed. It's not yet published in Spanish, I don't believe. It's not in Portuguese, I know that for a fact, and I'm desperate for a Portuguese copy. But it's an extraordinary book that paints a new paradigm for humanity and life experience. Now, I've read some of this stuff over the years from reading the Vedas and the ancient Hindu texts, if you like, the Sumerian cultures. But Anastasia brings new life to it in a way that's so extraordinary and so real. And she talks about placing seeds under the tongue for 9 minutes so that your DNA can talk to the DNA within the seed. And when you plant the seed in the ground that you've stood on, you spit in the ground and protect the seed for 3 days before any water can dilute the strength of your saliva. And when the plant grows, it grows nutrients specific to your ailments. So these technologies are available to us now, but they're not being widely disseminated because the power structures are still pretending that they're not there. Now, they can't stop this. The revolution that's going on in Russia now is extraordinary. And I think Russia will come out leading the world in the changes as we move into this. But, that remains to be seen. But it's certainly an extraordinary series of books called The Ringing Cedars of Russia. And I would encourage anybody that hasn't heard of it to go and get a copy.
Well, Phil, that leads on to new technology, actually, because David Wilcock has, and I've got the pleasure of having it on my screen. I can go and watch it because you have to pay for it. You pay $9 a month for it. And I would strongly recommend that anyone who can afford that should do that. They can watch this. This is how connected what you're saying is to what we're doing here. David Wilcock has brought out this very simple idea based on Russian technologies that's getting released right now. And even in Russia, they are still suppressing some technologies, he's informed us. However, what this remarkable thing is literally, and I'm going to cut a long story short here, go and buy a sheet of 2 millimeters thick, 8 foot by 4 foot sheet of aluminium, and then bend it on the floor until it makes a disc, put a mattress inside it, and you are getting to clear consciousness. And this was designed by many, it was a blend of many Russian technologies until one of them wrapped it all together. And this is the first time you and I can lie in clear consciousness. It emits all the traffic out there that you can't see, but that is affecting our minds right now. And you go into clear consciousness. We're going to be building one here next week. And we went to Tarapoto today to see if we could find the aluminium. We've sourced the aluminium. So we're going to be, Matey, this is interesting news for you. You can make one of these and tell Marek as well, because he'll be right into this. David Wilcock clearly says that this is the clearest form of consciousness you and I can achieve, Phil. How's about that?
Yeah, that will be very important. That is why it's so important that we work together, Dave. All the technologies that we will be using in the houses that will be developed. Also, Fernando Fossa is thinking to come here and help us out in this. But I think that is very important to know all those little details that will make like a new way of living.
Yeah, and also, Mikey, I'll tell you what's coming, and Phil will probably back you out, Carrie will definitely back you up, but Mike Waters is coming in about half an hour's time, and he's definitely going to tell us. But we are going to have such easy free energy items coming out with the technology. It's just going to be simply like that sheet. Just bend it round yourself and sleep in it for an hour or two and write some pictures down. It's going to be that easy, I think, than all the struggling that we're going through at the moment with, because Carrie Ellis tells us that we are suffering from 90% negative energy. Carrie, this is an important part of our coming into this world now, getting rid of that negative energy. Can you describe a little bit about that for us, please?
Sure. Basically, it's based on Harvard studies. We're like an iceberg where the tip of the iceberg, our conscious mind, is 5% conscious mind. And then the rest of our thought is stored in the unconscious. And I say this is from 200,000 years of blame, fear, hostility, judgment, and control of the slave species, basically, that we've been part of. And so we just need to become aware that we're constantly creating in the field. And the Bible verse that says, out of the heart come the issues of life, in the Aramaic actually really meant out of the unconscious comes the creation of life. So until we offload that unconscious container, and the way to do it is just to breathe and smile and notice when we're in anything outside of love. And when you describe love, it's how does a newborn operate? That's an example of pure love. So if we're having thoughts or emotions of anything outside of that, just notice that this is our creation and it's something to remove from our unconscious container, to breathe and smile, and to return to love, compassion, and gratitude, as HeartMath Institute has demonstrated, where we're in heart and brain coherence.
So that means if I say something like, I don't like him, or I don't like her, that means I don't like me, doesn't it? Is that what that means?
That means that not liking is coming from inside of us. It is the matrix can only mirror to us what is coming from inside of us. So this is the truth of how energy operates in a quantum world. So if I'm thinking I don't like something about somebody else, what I'm really seeing is a mirroring of something within myself. So the best thing to do is step into a new position and just say, oh, look what my energy field has drawn into me today. Do I like it? Do I not like it? Well, if I don't like it, let's remove it. And if I do like it, let's enter into interaction with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And the thing is that what I've found out is, especially in the light circles with all the news and, all people in kind of alternative media circles, that some people say, oh, well, they're corrupt. I wouldn't trust him. And I think that we should branch this into that, because I think that if you don't like David Wilcock, if you don't like Benjamin Fulford, if you don't like Sasha Stone, love them. And you say, embrace them, thank them for bringing what bit they brought into society. And then once you've gone past that, you will then enter into a really positive frame of mind. Right. And what happened this week was we had a spaceship come right outside and right above my head. And Lars, in the meditation area that he's creating, went and contacted it. And here is his message. It says, continue what you are doing. And this is very obvious, spaceship, eh? And it came here 3 days on the run. And you'll see a video about it on the xi4.com. And this spaceship said, please continue what you're doing. Stay in the frequency of love, gratitude, and forgiveness. Now, isn't that interesting? And incidentally, Lars's name is Lars Goran Fredriksson, LGF, love, gratitude.
In the Aramaic, which was grounded as a complete language at 6000 BC, they've actually figured out that the letters of it are three-dimensional and that they are resonant frequencies, basically. And so forgiveness was a description of how to remove the content from ourselves that is creating in the field. And it's like when energy goes out from us, it's like throwing a pebble in the pond. And you and I have had these discussions for months. And I know, believe me, when I first heard it, I wanted to kick and scream and say, oh, that person out there has to be bad, or there has to be something wrong with them. And now, it's a growth process to kind of rewire our thinking this way, but it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, but the big thing that I think that's happening here and that I'm learning every day And you are as well, because we learn together. And everyone in here, I just learned something off Phil. So I'm open, I'm ready for learning. And I'm going to learn something from Linda, Matey, Alex, Phil, everyone in this room, Paul in Manchester, Anna Lipari. I'm going to learn something from them, every single one of them. And therefore, if we go in that, this is the tsunami of abundance that we're creating. Phil said so just before. He said, we're just getting on with it. We're just doing it. And that's where we stand right now. That's what Mighty's doing. That's what Marinique's doing. That's what I'm doing, and it's what you're doing. And it's a wave, and we are the champions of the size of that tsunami. We are it.
And as
Can I butt in here for a sec?
what?
Yo, please.
I want to tell a story about a fella who's a friend of mine, and he's particularly healthy, to the point that what comes out of his bum is a flowering garden with fruit and vegetables and the full gamut of life force going on, to the point that it's not toxic. And he mixes it with the soils that he makes and mixes it with all sorts of other things. And it's just extraordinary. He's got soils that have 50,000 or 100,000 different species of microorganisms in them. So by the time it goes through his system, there's a full garden going on within his intestines. And when he makes a lasagna compost heap, the worms never leave, because what's been consumed in there may have left, and usually the worms leave when, you know, the lettuce is gone. But because there's such a thriving, you know, city population going on inside it, the worms never leave because there's constantly food for them. So yeah, we've got some extraordinary technologies, and this can be seeded all over the planet. You know, we can take these soils and give you a bit, and you can put it in your garden. It just goes sideways. You know, this life force just wants to get back into the soil.
Yeah, and we've got Paul in Manchester there, who's really on his way to Peru. Paul, can you unmute and come in, please, because this is right up your street here. And did you hear what he was saying there, Paul?
Yeah, sure. And it's hi. It's right. It's all about the microorganisms, isn't it? So if the right organisms are in the soil, you're going to get healthy food and a healthy environment. As you've been doing yourself a bit of bokashi compost in there, haven't you, Dave?
Indeed, we have. We've done the prototype. Apparently, one of them has failed, and I need to speak to you outside this show in Simona's place, and she needs a little bit more advice from you. So ours was a great success. The bokashi mix was, and you could feel the radiation, the anti-radiation, if you like. You didn't want to take your feet out of it when you were dancing on it. It was absolutely wonderful feeling. And we put rice husks, as you told us, poo, and then we put green organic waste in there, and then we put sawdust in there, we put soil in there, everything that we could put in there and leave it there for 2 months. And that's the best soil in the world. As Phil was talking about, it looks like Phil has now left us, so he will probably be replaced by Michael Waters any time now. So while we're talking about, Paul, the soil is the thing that feeds the plants. It retains the water. Isn't that correct? This is how easy the science is, yeah?
That's right. That's right. And there in the Amazon, you've got the biochar also, which you've been making, haven't you, Dave? And that's a great carrier for the nutrients and the microorganisms, and that makes a self-building soil. So yeah, it's about the the healthy soil, healthy water, and the EM, the effective microorganisms that you've been working with. I'm working with here in Manchester. They do the job of cleaning up the pollution and making a nice clean environment, and healthy farmers, because they're not using the chemicals anymore. So they're they're not getting the same issues with the rice farmers in Japan. They would get arthritis and they'd get respiratory problems also. And when they switched over to the organic farming using the different EM processes and feeds, they got well. They actually they weren't ill, and they felt a lot better than had done in years. So it's great all around. It seems whatever it touches, really, EM, it's it gets it into a state of balance.
we've got people here who make the elixir with noni, and noni is a really pungent fermentation thing that you can't drink. It's so bitter, and the noni makes it, and with another fruit, you can pick another fruit. We make the elixir that ferments itself, and all you do is just keep adding water when it gets to the bottom of the bottle. And that elixir is the liver cleanse.
Yeah, I've just been. I just made my third one today at home in the kitchen. Well, for the past 2 days, and that's got a load of different stuff in it, herbs and supplements, vitamin C, vitamin D, different multivitamins. It's got magnesium, salt in it. It's got what else did I put in? Oh, I made some nut milks with the Brazil nuts. Yeah, and 3 different types of mushrooms: GABA, not GABA, sorry, chaga mushrooms, and reishi, and turkey tail. So I've done a serious concoction there and a brew, and it's the third one I've done. Like I said, the first 2 were fantastic. The first one I did with superfoods mainly, and the second one was more herbal from the garden. And this one I've kind of combined both. So I've put, it's dead simple. I put enough. I've worked out to 100 ml a day of the liquid, and just worked out like a decent daily dose of everything, and done it to that. So it's quite scientific, and yeah, when you, it's like herbalism on steroids. It's great because what I figured, because I'm into supplements, but what I figured it's difficult because you've got some of this, some of that, you've got all these different bottles and different things to take, and it's a right pain in the bottom. But when you put them all into the EM with the molasses, you ferment it, it makes it very easy. You take your shot in your water every day, and you're getting what you need.
Let's bring Alex in as well and complement this conversation that you're having, Paul. Unmute yourself, Alex, please. Animate yourself. You're muted. Hey. There you go.
My cloaking device is misfiring here. Anyway, hi. You guys see the the ships, the sylphs that headed directly to my house, literally straight beeline from at least 20 miles away. That was interesting. I took pictures. I have actually a noni tree in a property I have in the mountains where my ex-wife and 2 little girls live. I lived for a year up there, and it was already there. Yeah. What would you like me to comment on, kind sir?
Well, we were talking about elixirs and what they can do with your health. That you can, I mean, everyone knows, and you especially in your 5D life, you know you heal yourself. And you're a pretty good example of this. So you can rattle on about that if you want.
Yeah, I read a book by Deepak Chopra a little over 20 years ago called Timeless Mind, Ageless Body. And, you know, he's a very accomplished, you know, MD in the States, and also is a doctor of Ayurvedic medicine from India. And I'm sure you all know Deepak Chopra. But there are some ideas, and I have a degree in biology, and I'm a trained, scientific thinker, etc. So, but I read some things in there that made perfect logical sense. For example, that all the cells of our body are constantly recycling everything we eat. Every time we take a breath, we are recycling the molecules of our bodies. So there's no such thing as somebody is 60 or 80 or 20 or 30 years old. That's a completely, in the material world, that's actually a false concept. That doesn't, it's not valid, because you don't have the same body you had 5 years ago, 10 years ago. You don't even have the same stomach lining you had yesterday. It's been completely replaced. So, but he talks about what is aging, what actually is it, and where is the mechanism, because they still have not, the traditional scientists, the establishment scientists, have still not found any real mechanism of aging. And he talks about these people that live in the, you know, in Shangri-La area up in the high mountains of India and such, that they're 100 years old and they're roping cattle, you know, like they're 30 and you know, still have vitality. And I know Ticos here that are in their 70s and they climb mountains like mountain goats. I mean, they just, you know, and no problem. So back, it was just before I moved here. And so, you know, I'm a non-traditional type of person. My father was an MD. I have other MDs in the family, and my old sister's a nurse and RN and all this. So, and I was supposed to be a doctor. And so, you know, I come from a very traditional background as far as my family and stuff. But I said, nah, screw that. You know, I want to find out how to do things a little better and get healthy, etc. So anyway, I started looking into the energetics of health, etc., and from all kinds of different backgrounds and cultures, etc., and basically succeeded in reversing my aging process and you know, I'm the healthiest person I know, and I've been this way for years and years, and you know,
talking about
and so the mechanisms of doing that are energetic. And from my approach has been energetic, not diet, not exercise, not a whole different level, coming from you could say a higher dimensional level, in manifesting it in the physical.
Well,
So
this is what this room is all about, isn't it? This room raises the frequency of everybody else, because what we're doing is we're getting confirmation from you, from Paul, from Phil before, and Carrie Ellis, and everyone else in this room are picking up on this, and we're riding with it, because we've got to be ready for something that's coming, and we've heard it in this room today. Phil told us very clearly, and you're ready, and that's what you're saying. Paul's ready, Matey's ready, Carrie's ready, John's ready, Carl's ready, Bob's ready, and Linda's ready. We are all ready and waiting. Sorry, we're not waiting now. We're getting on with it. And that's the situation we find ourselves in. What's the odds of you coming to Peru?
Very good. It's just a matter of when. You know, I've been to Peru, like I mentioned in an email or Skype message to you. Machu Picchu and the Nazca Plains. And you know, love to go back there. I just found out today where you are. You're in the northern part, so near Ecuador. And I have a friend that just moved to Ecuador, and she's a yoga and health instructor and life coach at a yoga retreat there. She just got a job there on some beautiful coast in Ecuador, white sand beaches and a surf break out front and everything. So, you know, it could work out a little visit there and then go down to your place. But yeah, I am and that's, you know, the way the techniques that I've used to become what I've become are very they're very, I mean, they're spiritual techniques basically, and they're not anything that you will read about in many places anywhere. The Ringing Cedars of Russia definitely touches on it, and other works, but you know, it's more like a Yogananda approach, Paramahansa Yogananda, you know, Autobiography of a Yogi. That's more the place, yeah, where I come from. And it's, I don't know if it's, I know if it's really super ultra simple. It's so simple. It's ridiculously simple, you know, and you know, it's nothing complicated at all. It's just a matter of doing it, you know, and that's all. It's really simple. It's really easy. There's nothing there's, you know, it basically breaks it down, you know, to simple little techniques that you do. And you know, it's like sun gazing. Sun gazing is an amazingly simple technique that anyone can do every day as long as the sun is shining, and even if it's not, you know, and to absorb energy from the cosmos, from the ethers, and then it reduces your necessity to take in foodstuffs or its energy from the external environment. So, because as higher beings, all of us live based on our own energy of what we are. We don't need, in the fifth dimension, you know, the new earth, the new dimension that we're on the cusp of, we don't need to eat, we don't need to drink, we don't need to breathe. You don't need any energy from the external in order to continue to be, you know. Being is free. You don't need anything to just be. But the physical body needs energy to keep functioning in a physical world. So that's basically what it's based on.
I've got here my own brand, and you'll see the Triskelion on the top. This is we've got a guy here who's built his own machine, and he presses his own cold-pressed coconut oil, and we use that every day in our raw drink. And so I've nearly gone like 100% raw now. And Paul, please come in, because I want you to tell us, educate us on two things that we've got for you. Tell us about the pepper and the curcuma, the saffron, and tell us about the liquid condom.
Yeah, it's just something I picked up on. I think it was even on Facebook. I think I don't remember which page it was, but just with the turmeric being 2,000 times more medicinal if it's combined with black pepper. So yeah, this is just a simple thing, really. Have black pepper with your turmeric.
Well, we've got a shop down the road. We can go and get the saffron. They call it, matey, I think they call it curcuma here, don't they? I think Alex knows as well.
Curcuma.
Curcuma, is it? Okay.
Yes, I've heard of that. Yeah, they don't really have it in my area. At least I don't see it. But I was raised with saffron rice. I know that.
For the benefit of others, Mike Waters is coming into the room now, so we'll go over to him in a moment. But carry on, Paul, please. So just repeat that for Mike, because he's just come in the room. If you add turmeric,
have it with black pepper, because then it makes it medicinal. Seems like if you're not having it with the black pepper, there's not much point in having it, as they say it's 2,000 times more potent if you combine the turmeric with black pepper.
Well, I know that pepper has a very good impact on my sinuses. Every time I use it, I get a clearing of them. And because I smashed all my teeth up, which I'm going to be 3D printing my new teeth when the dentist gets here, the pepper stops any swelling coming from any infection. But I just do teeth pulling with my own brand cocoa oil, and just extend on to what a liquid condom is, Paul.
I was just that was something that I forget the chap's name, a Korean fella, he invented by combining colloidal silver with aloe vera and marketing it as a lubricant, and with the I suppose it must be pretty strong colloidal silver, potent stuff, but it acts as a spermicidal gel and is good for health as well at the same time.
So you also
just Google it. There's quite a few sites selling these things. Yeah, there's
so there's no way you can get pregnant, and there's no way you can transmit sexual disease when you're together. Is that correct?
That's what he's saying, and he said he did his field trials with the prostitutes in Soho. So that's he works with the girls there and the customers, and he reckoned that the cases of venereal diseases dropped, and even protect you from like HIV and some of the nastier things you can get.
Well, Alex was talking about he didn't mention the word, but he was talking about longevity. Well, we know sugar is the thing that makes you old. So when you stop your sugar, I just replaced all my sugar with honey, because there's tons of honey here and there's a lot of beekeepers around here. So you know, that's a big change for everyone that they can do tomorrow.
Yeah, I suppose I should embellish a little bit on the EM brews, if anything, because it was actually a guy called Ken Roller, and he was on Clive DeCarle's show, which is the Health Revolution. You can pick them up on YouTube. A great series before he was taken down by the government for basically talking too much truth about how to get yourself well and where diseases are coming from. But Ken Roller, he was on, I think it was episode 6. I forget now exactly which one, but you can find it. But he was saying, just with the level of toxicity that we're facing, if you know you're in an industrialized society, buying your food from the supermarket, and with the vaccinations and chemtrails and all the rest of it, because EM has the profound ability to break down toxins in the external environment and internally, will help rid your body of radiation. He's a big proponent of just throwing all of your herbs and your foodstuffs into the EM and making a fermented brew to really, you know, give your body what it needs to cleanse itself rapidly and properly. So it's very interesting. It's an interesting thing to do with someone that's just got a little bit of knowledge of the herbalism and the nutrition with the foodstuffs. It's a good thing to do. I can recommend it.
Yeah, we went to one of these very beautiful jungle hotels here that you can go and take your ayahuasca, and then you can have your ceremony and be in the peace and quiet. And we put EM in her garden, and Simona, she's making her own EM now. She knows where it is at the bottom of the trees, and she collects her own microorganisms, which is incredible. And we did a whole banana field with her, and she went, "Wow, what is this stuff?" She said, "I can feel it radiating." And it was a magnetism that you could feel. It was really superb to watch and feel live, you know.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Cultivating the indigenous microorganisms is very interesting. It's something that I've not done yet, but I know how to do it. I've seen, you can just look on YouTube. There's videos doing that. That's an interesting thing, and a good way to go in your garden there. EM's just got some specific abilities as far as encouraging those indigenous microorganisms, and also getting rid of toxins in the environment pretty quick within a few months, even radiation. They've been using it around Fukushima. Carrie, did you say you've got a couple of questions?
2 questions, Paul. How are you? I haven't talked to you in a long time.
I'm very well, thank you.
Oh, good to hear your voice and all your thoughts.
Thank you.
One question is, I have a disc that I got years ago from somebody, and I've carried it in my water bottle, and I'm pretty sure it's a ceramic disc. I'm pretty sure it has EM organisms in it, and I just wondered if you know about those and how it works. And then secondly, do you have any comparison between Ormus and EM organisms? I know they're kind of probably 2 different animals, but as far as what they would do in the body. Or
on the first one, there is a range of ceramics that are used primarily around water, but the powder also in soil. Amazingly enough, it was found by Teruhiga, who developed the technology, that if he puts it into clay and then fired it, it would still work as far as balancing the environment. He puts it down to working on the infrared spectrum. So it could well be. There's other ceramics as well from Japan, Pai ceramics. They're quite popular, and they make rings for your water. So as far as the Ormus goes, I've only looked at it a little bit. My close friend, he's made some, and we was talking about it, but it's one of those things that I don't know much about. I'll have to have a look at it.
right. We're just getting ready to make some here, so I'll send you a report when we get it done.
Fantastic. Yeah, good. Yeah,
Cool.
I think my friend was making it with oil and salt. One of them. There's a few ways to make it, apparently, isn't there?
Yeah.
Is it that it encourages the indigenous, the microorganisms, the healthy microorganisms?
I don't think it's about healthy microorganisms. I think it's about something in between matter and energy, like some space in between there. And it's, I don't know, it's a energetic that gets carried within the solution. And the people, and interestingly enough, this one method wraps it in aluminum foil to make it, I think, to keep other energetic patterns from.
That sounds familiar. Yeah. Yeah, Ken Roller, who switched me on. I mean, I had been drinking EM, little, courses of it, but I've not seen anybody put all those medicinal things into it and ferment it. He's well worth tuning into, and he's big into the EM ceramic as well. He says that it works if you have the EM ceramic around you fermenting stuff, like your medicinal stuff, then it acts in the same way as orgonite. Yeah, putting out a beneficial field. Yeah, so he's got plenty of videos on YouTube, well worth looking at. But Clive's show was fantastic with him on.
Yeah, nice.
Carrie, I wonder if I'm just going to check if Mike Waters can hear us and see us, and if his audio is working. Can you just introduce who Mike Waters is to anyone who doesn't know what Mike does?
Sure. Do you want me to read this whole thing?
I think we need to, yes, because there's a lot to Mike, so therefore we need to know what sort of questions we're asking you.
I'll do that. Mike, are you there? I saw you show your face a few minutes ago. Yep.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep. Can you hear us?
Great.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to introduce you. I just met Mike Waters a few weeks ago, and he's part of this growing circle of amazing beings on the planet that I'm so grateful for getting to share this path with right now. We have so much wisdom and intelligence coming forth that is going to carry us into a new Earth civilization that's amazing. Let me read Michael Waters' bio from his website, which is A Cure for Global Crisis.
It's actually Cure for Global Crisis when you go onto the website, isn't it?
Thank you. Yeah, cureforglobalcrisis.weebly.com. Sorry, thank you. I was reading the heading on the website, which is so gotcha. Michael Waters is an advanced technology consultant, researcher, inventor, and sustainable recovery strategist. He has previously owned businesses and designed and built multi-axis robotics, adaptive manufacturing systems, experimental aircraft, custom homes, portable housing systems. Michael's automated disaster recovery and library preservation systems are used worldwide at institutions such as the Library of Congress, the National Archives, and Russian Academy of Sciences, instrumental in recovery of the worst library fire disaster of the last century. I wish they'd had it for the library at Alexandria. Anyway, to continue. In the last 12 years, Michael has researched cutting-edge science and technologies that redefine current understandings in mainstream physics. He has established a large collaborative network of researchers and breakthroughs that profoundly affect fields of energy, mining, health, food, water, transportation, housing, sustainable economics, and environmental recovery. The purpose of the research has been to discover causes of and solutions for the increasing number of global crises we now face. A primary focus has been energy R&D, working with diverse group breakthroughs that combined uncover new understandings in physics. These discoveries also explain why current global business and environmental models are fundamentally unsustainable. Michael is currently on the board of a number of organizations involved in advanced energy, mining, agriculture, and finance, and directly involved in developing several paradigm-shifting energy breakthroughs. Michael's inventions span diverse fields, including energy, robotics, fluidics, conservation, aviation, and housing. And I will say, he has an amazing theory on two simple things that would solve a lot of our problems on the planet. And I know that he was kind of swarmed upon at the Boulder Energy Conference. I've watched some of the videos, and I know a lot of people really loved what he shared. So there you have it. Try saying his bio really fast 3 times. A lot of big words in there.
Welcome to the show, Mike. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here.
Thanks. Hi.
Hi. And it's very in tune with what we're doing here in Peru and all of Carrie's projects and Alex's projects that are all in this room together, because we're advancing now, and we were talking earlier about how we are contributing to the tsunami of abundance when Phil was on from Swiss Indo, and I know Carrie made an entry there for our group, the Global Leadership for Change. So when you come in, and can we just talk about those 2 changes that we really need to grab hold of? Can you tell us about those, please, Mike?
The 2 issues I found that seem to be at the root of most of our troubles.
Yeah, basically.
The point was to figure out in simplest terms what we were dealing with, because the sheer complexity of most of the issues we're facing now just overwhelm people. And people like things simple. Obviously, every issue we're dealing with has its complexities and politics and all kinds of other nuances. But underneath all that are 2 fundamental issues, and I've been able to look at pretty much every issue that we're facing that is threatening us, and finding these 2 elements at the root. It's very simple. One is we've had a complete misunderstanding of what energy is. In fact, it's rather hard to understand how our logic could be this off. On the one hand, you've got physicists such as Feynman, Einstein, making statements that are clear. Feynman said there's much energy in, I think, 1 cubic centimeter of empty space, and you need to boil all the oceans in the world. I've also heard more energy in an empty coffee cup than you need to boil. Well, it doesn't really matter. It's a very small space. So the implications and the direct evidence says that the smaller you go, the more energy there is. That's just the nature of the universe. If that's true, our concept of nothing is flawed, profoundly. It also means that our concepts of our energy laws are flawed. If you say you can't get energy from nothing, I would have to say that's ignorant, because there is no such thing as nothing. The closest approximation we have to nothing is a sea of almost infinite energy potential. That's irrational. So when you say that, you're actually saying you can't get energy from a source of almost infinite energy potential. That's just rather silly. Same goes for the law of conservation of energy. It was very interesting when I gave that lecture. I slammed some of these most basic laws, and I thought I'd be crucified over it, and I wasn't. Law of conservation of energy has a very, very big caveat, and yet we run every discovery through that filter. That, to me, is a real question in logic too, because the main caveat to the law of conservation of energy is in a closed system. Well, if you're dealing with a universe that's made up of almost infinite energy potential in the smallest possible area, or the most empty of spaces, to decide that anything is a closed system is also somewhat ignorant, because there is no such thing as a closed system in a universe comprised of energy potential. So that's energy.
Sorry, Mike.
Go ahead.
I don't see anyone putting any money in the sun.
You don't see anybody what?
Putting any money in the sun.
I'm not sure what you mean.
I went to an electrician, electrical engineer, and I said, I've found free energy, I make free energy. And he goes, I don't believe you, because I don't believe anything is for free. And I said, well, I don't see anyone putting any money in the sun to keep that going. So the sun runs itself. So that's the answer to free energy, in my view. It's very simple. The sun runs itself.
I understand your sentiment, and at one time I would have agreed. Now I would say that there's a far better direction to go, and that's the sun at the core of every atom. In other words, every atom has, one of the theories is every atom has space. So when you talk about using the sun, that's still a fairly primitive concept, just like wind is. You're still looking at some object out there as being a source of energy, when in reality everything is energy, and the smaller you go, the more energy there is. So why do you need something very big and something far away to tap your energy when you can do it from the device itself? That's really the kinds of technologies I'm dealing with and find interesting.
Before you came in the room, Alex was talking about sun gazing and getting the energy particulates lit up from the sun.
Absolutely.
So,
in fact, there was a man in Sedona, I remember, gave a lecture. He'd been studied by scientists for 18 months and showed that he didn't eat during that time, but he did sun gaze. So I'm not saying you can't get energy from the sun. Of course you can. But what I'm saying is that that's just one step in the right direction. It's certainly not an end all, and it's certainly not very convenient. I mean, when you have a solar panel, if you're just using the sun as a source, and you're just using the visible wavelengths, or the wavelengths that solar cells are designed for, you know, half the time you don't have the sun even anywhere near you. You know, it's on the other side of the planet. You've got to go through a bunch of rock and molten, you know, earth motor. So the sun and the wind, and we can talk about the wind turbine, obviously, but both the sun and the wind are intermittent sources, and that's the problem. It means now you have to introduce capacitance or batteries or some form of storage, moving water uphill or whatever it is, but now you're facing storage. All of these things add cost. I'm all for solar as a stopgap measure, but the future is in tapping sources far more simple, far more cheaper, and far closer to where you need to use them. Again, you just have to think of.
Sorry, Mike. I think I've got a delay on my screen, so when I'm speaking to you, so sorry to cut in with you. Well, if that's the first source we've got wrong, our total conception of energy is completely screwed up, basically. That's what you're saying.
It's backwards. It's completely backwards, yes. And then the other thing, yeah, that's probably what you're asking. What's the other thing? Understanding of nature is just as backward. And it's so easy to prove. And I would say most of the people on this call understand both these concepts. I'm preaching to the choir. It's for all the masses out there that grew under the conventional laws of physics and said, hey, you know, there's no free lunch and we've got to go buy oil. With nature, this is the other issue. We have a fundamental opposing concept of nature, and we've based all our business models and cultural models off that mistake. So nature is collaborative dominant. You can prove it to a child. And it goes like this, you know, any tiger or predator, their job is to predate. They are supposed to kill for a living. But notice they generally go for the weak. They have first a far greater responsibility, and that is to honor the ecosystem with which they are hunting. If they don't support first their environment, they'll die, or their offspring will die, or the environment will change and they'll suddenly find them in an environment that doesn't support them. This is just basic common sense. If you look at the math of biological competitiveness, you have a situation where you end up with a single winner In a competitive dominant biological system, you end up with a single winner, which then dies through lack of resources. That's the inevitability in the math of competitive dominant biology. The earth, everything around us, everything that created us is collaborative dominant. First and foremost, you must first support your ecosystem if you're supposed to survive. That's just common sense. But that's collaborative dominant thinking. So when you look at our business models, dog eat dog, survival of the fittest, you know, all these concepts are about competitive behavior. This is why we're depleting our resources, population goes out of control. We have cancerous beliefs which put short-term interests ahead of long-term survival. So that's basically the premise regarding nature. So obviously, if we want a sustainable model, why not copy the collaborative dominant laws of nature?
And if you combine those two, it basically shows, as in your 7-minute video, basically the destruction that we've got, and why we are creating this tsunami of abundance that we've heard earlier today. Phil came on and told us, get ready, it's coming. And this is where it is coming. You know it and I know it, and this room is creating that tsunami. And what's brilliant now is the timing of this is Will and Elaine have come in because they're building a giant aquaponics in the Caribbean, and it is a giant one. It's a really, it's a fantastic bit of 12 months work that they've been doing. They built the small one. I started it with them over in the Caribbean, then I came to Peru. Welcome to the show, Elaine and Will. Just unmute your mic and come in, please, because I've automatically muted you. Hi.
Good evening.
So what we're going to do with you in the Caribbean and Mike Waters being on, we're going to see how confident we are to get your giant aquaponics run by free energy. Mike Waters, please. You, Elaine and Will can run the giant aquaponics by free energy.
Well, anybody can once we have these systems in place. I think to point out just one final thing about this theory so you understand really where it leads.
Please do.
You've got two basic premises, which means you don't have to think about too much more than that. You don't need a rule book. You don't have to constantly refer to some manual. We need these kinds of constructs. We need declarations of our intent. We need to organize ourselves in that way. But if you have a motivational construct, and you'll hear me talking about this a lot, that is defined by the fewest possible rules, and I would maintain that these two are your lowest common denominator. If you look at the cascade effect of introducing free energy into a society, of the many directions it could go, one of the positive directions, of course, is that free energy defines an abundance-based culture. Free energy defines the basis of an abundance-based culture. Because if you've got energy that doesn't cost you, environmental or economically, your very basis for food, for water is there. You can decentralize, you can support local communities. Energy gives you all these other basics. So you've created a motivational construct that then grows and encourages collaborative behavior, encourages sustainability, because you're mimicking nature. And you're starting from an abundance-based economic system, which is fundamentally the opposite of what we've got right now. We live in a debt, lack-based, no free lunch, very constrictive physics culture, and it's destroying us.
Wow, yes, and one of the things that we're doing in this room is changing ourselves. Once we change ourselves and the way we think about anything.
Absolutely.
You're just literally putting it on a plate for us. because the clarity that you're giving us now with your videos, with your website. What is it again? What's the website again, Mike?
Cure for Global Crises, plural. There are many of them. Cure for Global Crises, and the primary site is .weebly.com. I can put it in the link, but I've got two sites. One's just Cure for Global Crises. Yeah, that is a simple concept, but it's a foundation, and really many of us that get deeper and deeper into this physics, deeper into the study of how to repair the damage on this planet, we're drawn inevitably into consciousness and spiritualism and interconnectedness and a sense of oneness, and there's this sense of family and synergy coming together. So I look at those little rules that I've discovered as simply being foundation. If you can drop the stress level, the background stress level, with these basic shifts in economics and thinking, then you have the ability to then pursue higher levels of thought and awareness. That's kind of what I believe. And that's when you get into things like Ormus, which is a favorite subject of mine, fifth state of matter.
Oh, you missed it. We were speaking about Ormus just before, and Paul in Manchester's got some, and Carrie's something with that as well. Carrie?
Can I just toss one thought in the pot here, which I'm sure, you know, it's not that far off base from what Mike is talking about, but ultimately, I mean, we are a free energy machine. We are a free energy device. We are a mechanism to funnel source consciousness into this dimension, and as we get more clear, the more we do that, the more we get clear from our own corrupt data, and we get ourselves harmonized, we literally are bringing through free energy. And we see that every day in the kind of meditations I teach and do with 21st Century Superhuman and Decoding the Matrix, these things we're teaching, that we literally, as we clear ourselves, we can call anything in from the field. It's not about money. It's not about things. It is about what is it that we need today, and we are capable of calling it in. So that's my offering to the.
Well, I would add to that by saying that it's a combination of things. If you are profoundly good at manifesting, you don't need anything else. If you truly understand the laws of the universe, you are a sage. You are someone that can accomplish pretty much anything. And there have been many examples of people reaching that level throughout history, and many more that have been hidden from us, probably. The science, the consciousness involved is all the same. But that said, you know, sometimes kids need diapers, sometimes you need training wheels for bicycles. And this is where these basic concepts of appealing to the masses comes in. You have to give them some kind of steady ground to stand on before they can look at what they truly are. And that's sort of the job I took on, is to give that little nudge for the kindergartners, which I consider myself still one.
That's awesome. Yep, I agree.
Well, Mike, I'll tell you what then, we're going to do some mechanics right now. How's about that? So we're going to do the mechanics for the Caribbean project, because Will and Elaine, come in Will and Elaine, they've got this giant project, and I want them to tell you about the 3 lakes that they've created first. These are huge lakes. They're up on the xi4.com. Elaine, can you explain what you're doing, please?
At the Indigo Bay project.
Please, yes.
Well, we are in the first few months of the first year of a project that could run over the next 7 to 10 years. And it is to create an edible landscape food forest within a development, which will be a mixed residential and tourism development that covers quite a large acreage in one of the bays on the island. And we'll be using aquaponics as a primary production method, incorporating it into the permaculture design of the site as a whole. So we have a permaculture designer now working with us on our team, which is really great. Yeah, and it's we're lucky. We've got a lot of water there, and the water, as Dave says, is being directed into these quite large ponds that we will also be using within the whole design of the landscape. So
now
it's pretty exciting. It's the first time anything like that's been done here in St. Martin.
Okay, and those lakes are, one is above another. What kind of height have you got there? You've got from the first lake down to the third lake. So what have they done with heights of the water lines?
Right, well, we're actually, the lower lake has now been, for the time being, we are not working with the lower lake anymore because they're going to be using that as tying that into a grey water recovery system from the restaurants on the beach, and until they get that settled, we prefer not to put that grey water anywhere near food plants. So they're going to be using that water for the ornamental area, the planting that's taking place around parts of the development. But the other two lakes have, I think, about 5 meters between them. One is about 5 meters higher. The bigger lake is about 5 meters above the lower one. So
okay, so that's interesting. Now, Mike, if you can paint a picture of sorry, Elena, what sort of square meterage have you got on these lakes?
Oh, I really couldn't tell you. I really couldn't tell you.
They're big, aren't they?
Yeah, they're sizable bodies of water, and they're. I mean, we don't know how silted up they are now, but they were dug to the depth of the longest reach of the arm of the biggest excavator on the island. So they're pretty deep as well.
Yeah. Okay. Mike, if they have a run from one lake to another, can they use your wind wheel that you on your page on your site that I've been very fond of and looking at very closely these days, because it changes the industry absolutely, doesn't it? Totally upends the wind industry.
Yes, I guess a couple of things. And the funny thing is that you know, I use the wind industry as an example because I've been in aviation most of my life, and that was all it was ever meant to be. The funny thing is that wind turbine is what has really got the attention, and that has gone forward where more advanced energy technologies are still, you know, it's funny how the world works. But I actually started out with a project involving housing and aquaponics, and we were using a 4-fish system. It's a colleague of mine down in Florida. So we had bottom feeders, top feeders, mid feeders. I forget which the other one was. But the idea was that you're using them synergistically with plant growth to get a balanced system where you reduce your maintenance. So I don't know what system you're using, but well, actually, I should ask. What's your approach?
Well, we're with respect to the aquaponics. At the moment, we are running the systems as we get them started. We run them with tilapia because they are the most tolerant of human error, and while the systems are cycling any fluctuations, they're the hardiest fish, and they're very suitable for the environment here. As a tropical fish, they do really well here. We will, in the ponds, there are already fish there. We don't really know what's in there. There's turtles and all kinds of stuff going on. So our emphasis on the ponds is to build biodiversity there, because they're pretty stark, pretty barren at the moment. The fish that are in there are pretty much surviving on the roots of the grasses that grow around the edges. There's no aquatic planting at all at the moment. So we're going to be concentrating on building that ecosystem in and around those ponds, so that ultimately we don't have to feed the fish at all. We're looking to establish a system where the fish that are in there control their own populations by putting in some carnivorous fish alongside the tilapia. And as you say, I'm putting in bottom feeders. We're going to put catfish in there as well, so that we mix it up and get as diverse as much diversity, to build as much diversity as possible into those ponds. So with the aquaponics, it's a little bit it's a lot less diverse on the fish side of things. We will be adding freshwater crayfish into the system to kind of clean up a lot of the solids that get left behind after our solid separations, the mechanical solid separation system we got in there. But it's very early days, and we've got a lot of work to do. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we're very excited about it.
Did that answer your question, Mike?
Yes, I can give a recommendation on the tilapia. What are you finding the growth period is? Have you any idea? I'd heard it was up to a year to get a pound of fish out of it.
Well, actually, no, much faster. Much faster. In the systems that we have at the moment, we put 1 gram fry in February, and we've decided to not to harvest, because we want to use the core stock as breeding stock. And but we already have they're already at breeding size now. We already have young, they're breeding replacements already. So, and that's, was it February or March? Might even have been March, beginning of March. I think it's the first week of March.
How many months? How many months do you figure is total growth?
June, July, August, September, October. Yeah, we're looking at 6 to 7 months for some of the big ones, the bully fish, and probably as long as 10 months for some of the less dominant fish in the group. Right. So, which is fine. We could push it out a lot faster. In St. Croix, in the systems that they've been running at the University of the Virgin Islands since the 80s, they're putting out fish in 5 months. But they're really concentrating on aquaculture, and they're really pumping the food in there. We are more concerned with running organic systems and with incorporating the fish and the aquaculture into the permaculture design of the site. So for us, that's more important than the weight of fish that we get out within whatever time frame.
And I think you'll find that the more advanced the water technology you have, the better. Once you start programming the water at high levels, and imagine fish living in that water, I think it gets pretty exciting. There's a very simple closed loop system I saw. I like simple to build from, and this was some colleagues in Oklahoma City, and they were using a combination of tilapia and sunflower sprouts. And what I found intriguing about that was that sunflower sprouts would take a week to grow, versus the tilapia that he was growing was about 10 months, for the equal amount of protein content. So the sunflower sprouts were able to provide a very large portion of dietary needs in a very, very short cycle time. So if you think about then having a sprout crop and a tilapia crop, and the tilapia eating the sprouts, and the tilapia waste is feeding the sprouts, it's a pretty nice little ecosystem. But the sprouts grow so fast. I mean, it shows just how easily you can support a family in an emergency situation by growing a 7-day cycle. And the sprouts we're talking about are 5-6 inches long when you harvest them.
I can see how that would work. We're actually growing moringa in our systems as well, with a view to
yes.
with a view to using moringa as a food source for the fish alongside duckweed. They love duckweed. I mean, duckweed grows here like crazy. It's, I mean, the protein content with duckweed is nowhere near as high as the protein content of commercial fish foods, but then, so all you're doing is extending the amount of time it takes to grow the fish, the fish's primary function being to produce the nutrients for all the other plants that you're growing in the system. So you know, that is our objective, is to keep this, is eventually to be able to be completely self-contained in what we grow and what we feed to the fish that are not in the ponds. The ones in the ponds, they will just feed themselves. But the ones in the tanks, in the commercial systems, is a little different. So, but it's a learning curve. Every one of these systems is different. We've all got different environments that we're putting them into, different climate requirements, and different, a whole range of different things like other stresses on the systems. Like we get iguanas and raccoons and monkeys on parts of the island that come in, and you know, these things that we got to deal with. That say, yeah, grow healthy plants and they don't get attacked by pests. Well, regrettably, that doesn't apply to the monkeys, the raccoons, and the iguanas. So you know, those are things we have to combat. But we figure if they but the monkeys and the raccoons, they learn pretty quickly. They find out where there's a good source of food. They're going to come back and back and back. So we've got to look for environmentally friendly organic solutions to these animals coming in without killing them. Not into doing that.
Elaine, we should have to tell the group the hilarious, really, beginning at the Lowlands Community Gardens with me and Will. And when we first went there and we had to take out pencil cactus.
Oh, the poison, the plant of doom, the poison plant of doom. What a horrible plant that have been growing in and around the greenhouse since 2008, since the greenhouse was abandoned. This pencil cactus, which is grown as an ornamental in pots in people's conservatories in colder climates, grows to 30 feet tall here, and it's just horrible. Every part of this plant is about as toxic as you can imagine. It burns your skin, it makes you blind, you can't breathe if you breathe in the dust. It's nasty stuff. Gotta put on a hazmat suit to get rid of it. But boy, we laugh about it now, but it wasn't much fun at the time.
Well, it led to a cure, and this is where the jungle speaks to you. Now, Will, just to give you an idea, Will then rubs his eye, and then of course his eye goes 25 times the size of his eye is now. And then he sticks a bit in his mouth as well, which you can't get away from it. And then I put it all over the place, and you scratch your nuts, and you get it on there as well. And this you are on fire, and it is painful. And anyway, I went home, and they were nursing Will, and he was falling on the floor all the time, and he was putting aloe vera on himself. But I had heard about banana skin, and I got some bananas, and I rubbed it all over me, and it was gone in 20 minutes. So banana skin, when they go brown, there is a pigment of a chemical that comes out, and that cured it. So I just wanted to share that because there is a cure at the end of it. Elaine?
Yeah, it's because sorry, I missed what you said there.
Oh, did it break down? Saying that we used the banana. I used the banana, and it went in 20 minutes.
Yes. Yeah, and it's interesting because that you should say that, because we're currently on the island and have been for the last few months been suffering. A lot of people have been suffering from a mosquito-borne disease that's only recently been introduced into the Caribbean, called chikungunya, which is quite very similar to dengue fever, and has the similar effect on the body. It affects the blood. And growing all over the islands and everywhere in the world where chikungunya is are papaya. And papaya leaves provide an immediate relief and treatment and cure for this disease, this mosquito-borne virus that modern medicine has no answer for at all. Drink lots of fluids and rest. That's all they can give you, and you'll be weeks in pain with it.
You know, just a simple solution possible. And of course, there's all kinds of radionic type approaches that people talk about. There's many other herbal, but something very simple is MMS. I mean, I'm sure everybody has heard of it, the sodium chloride. The reason I mention it for that particularly is because we now have proof positive that the Red Cross completely covered up a case where they within a day, and it was of malaria. And malaria is similar again to dengue and possibly to this. And if it works that well, why not try it? It certainly doesn't seem to do any damage to anybody. And also there's some misconceptions. They've tried to confuse whoever they is, try to confuse MMS with chlorine. And that would be sort of like saying that hydrogen peroxide and water are very similar because they both have hydrogen and oxygen in them. It's nothing of the kind. So I would look at that. There's a good video on it talking about the Red Cross cover-up.
Thanks for that, Mike. What I'd just like to move on to for the end of the show is your wind veil and how it can be used with water. Sure. Because this is where we can link with the aquaponics, where Elaine has got 2 lakes, 5 meters in height of head, away from each other. So could you let us know a little bit of your thoughts on that, please?
Yes, it's very simple. First of all, it's part of an alliance of a broad range of energy technologies that we have that includes so-called overunity from one group, that's Paul Babcock, Jim Murray, you can look them up. MES in Canada, who's had third-party tested overunity on their system. The Lord's Pump Project, and another colleague that I'm a partnership in is Energy Labs. But the wind turbine by itself, without these additives, might help and be a very cheap option. I can give you a very basic, you can look at the website and you'll see information about it. But essentially what it is a more efficient wind turbine or water turbine. So the computer flow analysis on the water turbine showed us being even more efficient than wind turbine. So it's a fairly simple thing to make. They can send you some, basic guidelines. You can make it out of local materials, and you can use water as a power source. So you just need this design with a generator. Of course, you can use a Pelton wheel. You can use other means as well, but this will give you a little bit more performance for the size. Just to give you an idea, as a wind turbine, we've had some interesting comparisons. One of my partners is the former vice president of Vestas, and he said for years they were trying to get 2%, 5% increase, changing the aerofoils, the tips. And we've had some third-party analysis done on this. One of them came up with 122 times more efficient for a given diameter. So, 100% would be one time. So, and the reason you can do this is because the wind's force goes up exponentially with speed. So if I can be producing the same energy at 1 mile per hour as others are producing at 7 or 8 miles per hour, that's a cube relationship. So in other words, the difference is 7 times 7 times 7. So the water is the same thing. We can produce a lot of power from a fairly nominal flow.
Well, that's really, that'd be awesome, because the location of this site means that we receive almost constant trade winds down off the hill. So if we can find a way to mechanically move water from the lower lake to the top lake to create and then run it by gravity back down, we can generate power from the wind to take it up and from the water to when it's on its way back down again. That would be a really good.
Actually, you can use how to put this.
A round pump.
If you can generate power from the water coming down, I mean, first of all, you've got a river there or a stream.
Well, it would have. This is where we have to get water moving up before we can get it. There is a what would you call it? A gully. It's not flowing all the time. It flows when we have heavy rain, but it is located in a place where we could quite easily, if we can get water up to the top pond from the lower one, we can then run it continuously and generate power from that on its way down.
Well, what you've got going for you is that moving water around is one of the more efficient ways of storing energy. So if you move water uphill, you've created a battery. And as it flows back down again through a turbine, you get power. It's very convenient. And if you've got a nice big tub or a big hole in the ground or anything like that, where you can store that water, the bigger hole in the ground, the bigger the battery. The higher the hole in the ground, the more force it has.
Yeah.
You know, it's very basic stuff. So that would be a solution. One of the projects, there's 5 of us involved in this, it's called the Lord's Pump Project. It was developed for Africa. My turbine is a part of the technology. We're essentially using HHO, sort of a modified ram pump.
Yep.
To, we can, as far as our initial data, we're getting 270 psi, 30 gallons a minute, with very little energy use. So it's rather intriguing.
Yeah.
The other thing we can do is, because we're using HHO, you can infuse that into the water, and then you get all kinds of benefits from that as well. You get a higher oxygen content, and it's great for drinking. It's great for anything that grows there.
Fish will like that too.
So you can look that up, Lord's Pump. Let me see, just make sure it's the right website. And this was originally designed for Africa, to provide water to some people that had to walk 5 miles a day.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Let's see. I think it's lordspumproject.com.
Okay, I'll have a look.
That's Al Throckmorton, is the original inventor of that. And it's actually very similar to something I invented about 10 years ago, which is why we come along. Slightly different design, but same principle.
Mike, I believe you're doing some tests. Can you tell us about those, please?
Well, we're doing quite a few tests. We've had 3 third-party tests on the wind turbine so far. The wind turbine is one of the focuses, but you know, the technologies we have embedded behind are even more important. We're testing my turbine up against conventional turbine over the next several weeks. So we'll have some really good data on that in the smaller size ranges. At the same time, I'm running some tests on the water turbine up against a Pelton wheel and also a Tesla turbine. I love Tesla turbines because that's where I started 12, 14 years ago. And then went to this other design, which seemed to be more efficient, which is the basis of the wind turbine. So they're all kind of linked.
Fabulous. So that's a big mix of information coming out shortly then that will give us some power readings, so that people like John Anderson here, our techies, and Carl can get some information and help Elaine construct whatever she needs to construct to get the power up the hill, whether we use a ram pump or whether we use your Lord's pump or whatever. We can design that for her, and then we can use that down here in Peru. So we're really creating the future in this room, and that's what this room's all about. And it's terrific. We're coming up to the 2-hour mark now, and normally when we put a video out, if you put over 2 hours out, people go, "Oh, I'm not going for that, it's too much for me." So we're probably going to have to close now, but I want to throw the room wide open. And if anyone wants to ask anything to Mike while he's on, please come on now. If you've got any good
Well,
questions.
I got a question.
Okay, Carl.
How big do you think one of your turbine wheels would need to be in using water to run, say, a 5K generator?
Good question. Obviously, flow rate is the biggest issue because even 1 mile per hour difference in current will eclipse a diameter issue because the force is so great. Water is 780 times more dense than air, so you can extract a lot more energy out of a very small space. But if you take a shift from, say, 5 miles per hour current to 6 miles per hour current, that's a huge jump in force because it's a cube rule as well. So there are more factors there than I can just say, oh, it's going to be this amount of size. I'd have to know the head, and we'd have to,
you know, like what we have, where we have that 800-foot head where the water's coming down. So we're looking at a pretty good size flow.
Right.
You think
well, like I said, I'm going to be doing some tests. So once we have some direct comparison to, say, Pelton wheels, we can extrapolate from that and get an assessment of how much smaller it would be or how much simpler. But right now, all my data on the wind and water turbine is either computer flow analysis, real world tests where we're doing comparative, rather than this size gives us this much power. We'll have that data soon.
Okay. Well, we'll just wait.
Well, thank you, Carl. You will be coming to Peru, and we bought one of those motor cars that they have thousands of here that run on gasoline. They're very noisy and spit out a load of junk. And Carl will be converting them to electric, and we'll be going around the mechanic shops and showing them how to do it, Mike. And that's going to change, a big change around here. We just bought one today, so we paid for it. Carl sent some money to us. We put it down and we bought one, and it's going to be here. We're going to build a little ramp to get it into the office here, and we can all play with that. And we will convert that to at least we eliminate a noise issue. It's not going to be noise free. Nothing is. But we are going to eliminate that emissions, so we can then display that to other people. So Carl's going to be chiefly in charge of that. And
what are you going to run it? What are you going to run it off instead of fuel?
Electricity. Run electric motors.
Are you talking about a pump or?
No, electricity and batteries. Batteries to start, but who knows what I'll come up. Your wind turbine design, I may be able to put that onto you know, as you're going down the road at 30 miles an hour and you got that wind turbine on there, that could really extend the range quite a bit.
Well, it gets kind of mysterious there because, you know, conventional physics says, oh no, you don't.
Yeah, well, I don't give a damn about conventional physics. I didn't go to college. I didn't have a physics class. I follow natural law. I follow natural laws. I don't care what man says.
I'm with you. What we found that was interesting, I was very pleased to see this because I predicted it, and then it's just really nice when you get a computer analysis back and it matches. Here you got this big plate that you're sticking out in the wind, you know, just a big obstacle, right? That's the whole point.
Right.
Because you're making the air divert. But normally if you took like a big plate or a big sheet of plywood and you put it in the way of the wind, you know exactly what's going to happen. It's going to push that plywood sheet back like you don't even hold on to it. That's because you're also creating a lot of turbulence behind it. So you've got the impact in the front, you've got the turbulence behind. Well, with mine, because it's spinning and because the blades are removing so much energy out of the wind velocity, you end up with this sort of a dead zone behind the object instead of all this turbulence. The interesting things that happens is that even though it's a big flat object, it forms an aerofoil shape in the velocity profile.
Right.
So it means that the drag isn't that great. Well, if the drag isn't that great,
yeah,
you're not using a lot of energy to push it through the air. So if you've got it attached to a car, and it's not creating a lot of drag, but it is creating a huge amount of force. We know this. It just, you get winds up to 25, 30, don't even think about touching it. You know, it's just going like a banshee.
Think about this also, the air that's coming out of the turbine. You redirect that so that it's heading straight back and giving you a thrust at the same time that you're using it to, you know, create energy. There's nothing that says you can't use the same wind more than one time. Same way you can use the same water that's following down. You can have it go through 5 or 6 Pelton wheels, and you know, and you still got the same. You're adding another generator on it each time you're going through another Pelton wheel or turbine.
Exactly. Another thing that seems to be lost on the hydroelectric field. I couldn't agree more. What a funny world we live in.
I don't think inside the box. I never been able to think inside the box. You know, it's you know, I just
Tell him about your toy. Tell us about your toy that you've made.
Well, you know, people said I couldn't get a trike that that'll do 60 miles an hour on 2 horsepower. You know, but I certainly got this one to do that.
Excellent.
I mean, that right there.
I want one.
You can see that.
60 miles an hour. 60 miles an hour. 60 miles an hour using 1,500 watts of electricity. I did have a 20-mile-an-hour tailwind. Okay, so I know that fairing was doing 2 jobs at the same time. It was acting as a sail in one direction, and in the other direction, it was an aerodynamic aid to get me through the airspace that I was going through. And going back on the flip-flop, 44 miles an hour, and I was running 2,400 watts, which is maybe another 1 1/3 horsepower. You know, so it's really an efficient little trike.
So that's coming to Peru, Mike. So imagine their heads turning here when they see that.
There's start a cottage industry making more of them.
Oh yeah.
There you go. Well, if there's anyone else who would like to ask any questions, this has been an intriguing meeting. We've got Will and Elaine have now left us, but that was an intriguing blend of converse then, where we did some mechanics on the show, and that's what we're here all about. And we do this every day now, and we've had you in, Mike, on one of them, and we did some mechanics there. So this is the mechanics of the future, is this room right here. And when you've got the spiritual aspect with Alex, John, and Bob's here in England, and we've got Linda, we've got Matey here in Tarapoto, we've also got Marineath. We have got a tsunami bomb, and we're making it. And the more we contribute to this, the more that we determine the size of the wave. So we've also got Anna Lipari, who contributes and is helping with this program right now. She's passing on information out as we go. And we've got Will and Elaine coming back again. So I put the final word out to you, Will and Elaine. Please come in.
Hi, sorry, internet dropped out there for some reason.
Tell us who you are and how we can contact you, Elaine. Because we're going to close the show off now.
Cool, yes. Okay, so, well, we're here in the Caribbean. You can contact us through our website, which is SXM, which is the airport code for the island, sxmcommunitygardens.org. We can be reached via that website, and that's our the sort of parent site for all of the community gardens that we are working on. Yeah, that's it, sxmcommunitygardens.org. You can reach us there.
And I'm building, Lars and I are building the aquaponics here for the office, which is going to be a display case, showcase I've been asking earlier on in the show. I was asking for donations because we're short of about 2,000 sold, not much. And on xi4.com, you can go there and you can use the PayPal if you really love what Lars and I are doing, and Paul, what we're all doing here in the Caribbean. Sorry, in Peru. I've moved, haven't I, Elaine? And so, if you can, spare us a thought, or if you can't afford it, pass it on to others that might be able to afford it. You can always create this tsunami yourself by doing something. If you're so poor that you can't afford to send us anything, send it to somebody else of xi4.com. Final word from you, Michael Waters. It's been fascinating speaking with you.
Well, thanks for having me on. I love what you guys are doing, and it's quite a family coming together these days. It was a little bit lonely there for many of us for a long time.
Yes, you're quite right. And with we've got another person for you, Elaine, in Michael Upstone, he's shooting ahead of everybody else. And tell you what, you're going to do well to catch up with him, and we'll be introducing you to him as well. Michael, have you got any thoughts on that? Imagine that clash when you get people like Carl speaking to you. It's like a bomb going off.
Yeah, well, Mike and I have known each other for many years. We work very closely together. We've got sort of two sides of the coin. So I've got the motivational construct. He's got more of the written or verbal contracts and things like that. And he's working well. You'll get to meet him. Mike is a wonderful guy and has a lot to offer.
Yeah, that's another tsunami coming, isn't it? When Elaine and our guys get on the practical side of things with Michael Upstone and convert it like we've done today. We've proved we can do it. A final word from Carrie Ellis. What do you think?
Oh, I just know everyone is totally awesome. Love you all, and just what a great crew. Thank you all for being.
Okay, we'll close now. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming. Unless somebody wants to say anything now, feel free to do so. But it's been a pleasure, all of you. And this will be going back out, and we'll be sending it around. So let's get this out there. Thank you. Good night.
Yeah, ride the tsunami, ride it.
Yeah. Oh, sweet. Love you all.
Love you all. Okay, John, you can stop recording now. He's still recording.